welcome to APD. Today, let's take a look at the question, and it is, why does God swear by himself if he commands us not to take oaths? And also, why would he need to affirm his word at all with an oath? It's a great question. Let's take a look at Scripture and see what it says. Now, one of the times that God swears and he makes an oath in the Bible is in Genesis chapter 22. There it is. Genesis chapter 22, starting in verse 15, it says, "And the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, By myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, as you have done this, not withheld your son." So this is in the context of the sacrifice of Isaac. And so he says, "By myself I have sworn, declares the Lord." He's making an oath there. He's declaring it himself. He's swearing. And so we have God doing that. Now, if you go over to James chapter 5, what does it say here? James chapter 5, starting in verse 12 here, it says, "But above all, my brothers, do not swear, either by heaven or by earth or by any other oath, but let your yes be yes and your no be no, so that you may not fall under condemnation." Now, the question is, why does God swear by himself if the command is not to take oaths? Like it says here in James, don't take an oath. Just say yes, and let that be true. Say no, and let that be true. So why do we have this kind of, it's not really a contradiction, but it's kind of, it seems like, why would God do it but not us? That's the question. Well, for God, let's go to Hebrews chapter 6. It's a great thing is that Hebrews 6 is a commentary, really. A lot of it is on Abraham's life, so we can see, why does God swear here in Abraham, with Abraham? And we get to Hebrews 6:13. It says, "For when God made a promise to Abraham, since he had no one greater by whom to swear, he swore by himself, saying, Surely I will bless you and multiply you. And thus Abraham, having patiently waited, obtained the promise. For people swear by something greater than themselves, and in all their disputes, an oath is final for confirmation. So when God desired to show more convincingly to the heirs of the promise the unchangeable character of his purpose, he guaranteed it with an oath, so that by two unchangeable things in which it is impossible for God to lie, we who have fled for refuge might have strong encouragement to hold fast to the hope set before us." Now, what does that mean, right? So we go back up here. When God made a promise to Abraham, since he had no one greater by whom to swear, he swore by himself. So that's why he swears by himself, because if God is making an oath, God's going to make an oath. He's going to swear by something. What is he going to swear by? What's greater than God to swear by? Because when people swear, you swear by something that's greater than you, right? To show your sincerity. So what's going to be greater than God? Nothing. So the only thing he can swear by is himself. He can't go anywhere else. Can't go any higher. He's at the top. So if God's going to swear an oath, he has to swear by himself. And so then verse 13, that's what he swore by. "Surely I bless you and multiply you. Surely I will bless you." And Abraham attained the promise. Then you get to verse 16. Here it is. "For people, humans, swear by something greater than themselves." That's why God had to swear by himself. "And in all their disputes, an oath is final for confirmation." So when people are trying to figure out things, trying to agree to do something, they swear an oath. They say, well, I swear by the temple, I swear by heaven, I swear by God in heaven, whatever. That is to put a stamp of, I'm really serious about this. I'm not goofing around. This is going to happen. So when people do that, they swear by something greater than themselves. You call God is my witness, I will do this, right? So you're calling on something greater than you to confirm that you're going to do this. So, and that's the end. That's okay. Once you do that, okay, fine. That's final for confirmation. We're good. That's a good oath. I believe you. I believe your yes is yes, and so we're good. Verse 17. "So when God desired to show more convincingly to the heirs of the promise the unchangeable character of his purpose, he guaranteed it with an oath." Okay, So here we get to where God is at. God wanted to show more convincingly to the heirs of the promise that the oath was true, right? That's what it's saying. He guaranteed it with oath. So he's promising Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob the land, the descendants, that he would be a blessing to the nations, that they would bless the nations. You got those promises there. So God swears by himself to show more convincingly to the people. Now, is there anything with God that shouldn't be true? If God promises, shouldn't that be the end of it? Yes, it should. But the problem is with the people, with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, those he's swearing to, the descendants, he's swearing to them because they have the problem. They don't always trust. They don't always believe 100%. And so to help them overcome those doubts, God said, I'm going to swear by myself. I'm swearing that I'm going to do this. That helps the people, not God. It's not holding God to any higher standard because God is the highest standard. So to help the people to, as it says, to make it more convincingly to the heirs of the promise. There you go. See how those. But it says the heirs of the promise, the unchangeable character of his purpose. So it's unchangeable. So there's nothing wrong with the promise. There's nothing wrong with God's purpose. There's nothing wrong with God's character. It all lies upon the people he's promising to. And so that's why God does this swearing by himself, to convince us, to assure us. Now for Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that helped to strengthen their faith in the promise that God was giving. But for God, it didn't do anything, right? God was always going to do what he's going to do. So you have the two unchangeable things. God can't lie, and God's character. I mean, God doesn't change, and God doesn't lie. So if God swears by himself, he's not changing. He doesn't. There's nothing in there that's gonna, his character is not going to change tomorrow. He's not going to be a different person. He's not going to remake himself. Plus, he never lies. He can't lie. And so, with those two things, you have an oath that is 100% guaranteed, not going to go anywhere. So those are the two unchangeable things. And so you have that. So God swears here. God is swearing to Abraham that I will surely bless you. That's for Abraham's benefit, not for God. Now, for humans, when we swear to each other, it's because we don't really trust each other. Otherwise, like it says in James, our yes could be yes, our no could be no, right? That's what he's telling the Christians there. He's saying, if you go back to James, why does he tell them to do that? Because don't swear either by heaven or earth. Just let your yes be yes. If you're going to make a promise, just do it. You don't need to swear on anything else. You don't need to confirm it. You need to be, your character needs to be in such a way that it's kind of like God's, that if you say something, it's going to happen. If you're going to say no, then it's no. You're not going to be wishy-washy. James talks about the double-tongued, double-minded person, especially when it comes to praying. Here it is. He goes back to that again. It says, if you're going to say yes or no, just let it be yes or no. Don't play these games. You don't need to swear. You don't need to make oaths and all that kind of stuff, because you should be at the place in your Christian walk where you can just say yes or no, and that's how it is. So that's kind of why you have. So that's why you have God swearing by himself. It's not for himself. It's for us because we're sinners. And he tells us not to take oaths because we should be like God. What we say should be good amongst each other. Now, that's why James tells us not to do that, because you don't have to do that. You shouldn't have to do that. And then why would God need to do it? To affirm his word at all with an oath? Well, that's why. There's nothing wrong with his word. His word is always true. He has an unchangeable purpose. There is no shadow of turning with him. So you don't have to worry about that. So he confirms it. It's just to help those whom he's confirming it to. It's not that his word is not good. It's not that he has to confirm it. He didn't have to do that, right? And so he's really doing it for the benefit of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's what Hebrews tells us again, that he does it for more convincingly for the heirs. That's what he did it for the heirs of the promise, including us, so that we would not doubt. We would have, there would be no reason for us to doubt. God's like, I am perfect. I don't change. What I say always happens. But to help you even further, because I know who you are, I know you're sinners. You doubt. You got troubles with your faith. I'm going to go even the next step further. I'm just going to give you what you guys normally do. I'm going to swear by an oath, and my oath is perfect because I'm swearing by myself, no one else. I am the judge of that. So that's my answer to that question. Hopefully that made sense. I felt like I was rambling on a little bit, but go check a look at Hebrews 6. Read that for yourself. Actually read the context too of Hebrews. Go back to Abraham. There's 2 other places where God swears in the Old Testament where you have that phrase, I swear by myself. And again, who does one in Isaiah? I forget where the other one's at, but you can look that up and take a look at those too. But that's why God does that. It's for our benefit, not theirs. And why do we not swear by oaths, make oaths, and swear by heaven and all those kind of things? God is my witness kind of stuff. We don't have to do that because we shouldn't have to do that. What we say should be true. So that's the answer. If you have any other questions, send them my way. Let me know.